Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday, it's September 17th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. Looking at the daily chart real quick, you can see we rallied we actually made some new highs today. We couldn't sustain it. We got up in that overbought territory, and prices sold off pretty quickly. There was a big gap on the chart today, and prices did pull back and fill that gap, and they closed slightly higher than that. We actually went lower than the gap as well, but we found support down, I think down mostly around 56.80, somewhere in that range. Then prices bounced from there. Just kind of went sideways really for the rest of the day, and then kind of closed on a high there at the end. Not on the high of the day, but just on a high for that sideways action that we were seeing. So you'll see it when we flip over to the other chart. But there it is. We haven't quite got that new high in, so that leads me to believe that we we may still have more room to go here. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what tomorrow brings. But let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. Take a look at today's price action. Take a look at today's trades, and we'll wrap this day up. And here it is. You can see the early range, and then we dropped, and we just kind of went into this sideways stuff. And we did close on the highs here based on this sideways stuff. So still far off the highs for the day, but I do believe we did close higher than yesterday as well, so it's still an up day, even though it didn't turn out to be nearly as big an up day as it originally looked like it might be. But this was a pretty good sell-off here, but we recovered half of it or so, 2/3 of it. But here's that gap. Anytime you see prices open up at 8:30 and they're above this line, if this yellow line's above it or below it, then there's a gap. And if the yellow line's above it, this is basically the 8:30 open, 8:30 a.m., and then this is the close from yesterday. And so when those are far apart, generally you'll see prices, well, a lot of times will try to fill that gap. And you can see we came down and looked like we were going to bounce there, but it went a little lower, and you can see we tested both sides of that line. I mean, these prices are important later in the day, because you can see here we tested both sides of that open multiple times, and then the same thing down here. These become important price levels. So put these on your chart. Again, this yellow line is 8:30, and that's when mine turns from gray to white. I usually start trading around 7. If I get in here by 7, I want to start trading at 7. That's my goal, to try to get here by 7. I think I've told people I don't necessarily get in here right at 7 every day anymore. Used to, it was like clockwork, but I don't have to trade anymore. I trade, I still trade, but I don't trade consistently like I did every day anymore, because I just don't need to. And so if I'm a little late getting here, I don't worry about it. But I'm usually here by 7:30 at the latest every day, 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that. But I try to get here at 7 on most days, and then, but it just doesn't happen as much anymore. I don't get here every day at 7 o'clock, so just clarifying that. But that's when you want to try to start trading. I think it's safe to start trading. Some of your best trades, it used to be early in the morning like that. I used to love the mornings, and a lot of times I'd be done by 8 or 9 o'clock, and you're done for the day. And if I wasn't doing this teaching, I can go do whatever I want to do. And so most of you know I have other businesses that I run, so I'm in the office anyway, so to me it doesn't matter. But if you just want to be a trader and enjoy your life, you can be through trading by 9 or 10 o'clock every morning, and then go enjoy your life. Go play golf, go play with your kids, go play with your pets, whatever you like to do. Go fishing, go hunting, go surfing, go golfing. That's what this is all about, and trading allows you to have that kind of lifestyle. And me, I'm a workaholic, unfortunately. And so if I'm not here trading, I'm here working on some other businesses, but I'm planning on doing this for. I've told people I'm not going to give any specific dates yet, but I'm nearing retirement. If you hadn't heard me say that, it's coming up in the next couple of years. It's just probably right at 2 years now, and I'm probably going to retire. Now, what that means, I don't know yet. Well, that means I probably won't shut the website down or anything like that. I'll probably keep it going, and I may do this part-time only then. But but I probably won't trade much anymore. I probably won't. I'm trying to unwind a lot of my real estate. I may move if things don't straighten out in the United States. I may go. I've got some other places I've looked at moving to. I probably won't move there permanently, but I may have a home in another country and a home here, keep one or two of my homes here and go back and forth, that kind of thing. So I just really don't know yet. I'm a kind of a person that doesn't like to plan way ahead. I like to do things kind of on the spur of the moment. When I go on a trip, I don't have my trip planned out. I like to go and I do whatever I want to do. And there's nothing worse to me than having an agenda when I'm traveling, because I like to relax and see what I want to see. And if I want to spend so much time here, I'm going to do it. And if I don't get to this other place because of that, it's no big deal for me. I know a lot of people are not like that, but that's the way I'm made. And so I don't know. This could change, but that's kind of the plan. A couple more years of this, and I'm going to probably do something different. So again, I may still teach part time. Turn on the computer for an hour each morning, answer a few emails, put up a chart or something, and that's probably going to be it. Probably definitely no more chart lessons after that. People don't realize how much work goes into this, and it's the reason I stopped doing them 5 days a week. I mean, I spend an hour and a half doing these videos every day. So it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of time. You have to go through the chart and mark all the trades if I didn't take them during the day. Usually I mark them as I go. But I don't sit here all day in front of the computer now. I'll leave for lunch and I'll come back, and so I still have to go through this chart and make sure all the trades are marked, make sure everything that I see is marked, and then I've got to record it, and then I've got to process it, and then I have to upload it, and there's a lot more that goes into that than people really understand if you've never done that process. It's not really that simple, and so I spend an hour and a half to 2 hours on this every day, basically. And it gets to be monotonous after doing this for multiple years. And I mean, I think we've got 12 years worth of videos on YouTube now. There's thousands of them out there, and they're all doing the same thing I'm doing right here. But I will say this before I move on. The beauty of that is it forces me to review my chart and study and look at the trades and study everything every single day. Now think about that. I've been doing that for 12 years. Think how much study time and review just this chart lesson gives me every day. And so you don't realize what it helps you to see, what it helps you to understand, and how it helps you to understand price movements. So you should be doing this every day too. And again, I've been emphasizing this a lot lately. And people still email me and say what I need to do to get better. I'm telling you, what you need to do to get better is to sim trade live data every single day. Take every trade you see that you feel like meets our entry criteria, and don't worry if you're right or wrong. Just let the trade play out, and then at the end of the day, study those trades in your chart diligently. Figure out what you did right, figure out what you did wrong, and figure out why you were wrong. I mean, I had a trader, I got an email, I think he sent it to me yesterday, but I answered it today. I didn't get to it till today, this morning, or maybe I answered it yesterday, I'm not sure. But he was asking me a question about a trade. He said this entry looks just like this entry. Well, the entries are nothing alike. The patterns look alike, but the context of the chart and the entries are nothing alike. So rather than give him my answers, I just threw him a couple of clues and I sent it back to him and says, hey, you tell me what you see, because they're not the same. And so we'll see if he responds back. So far I hadn't heard back from him. I may not ever hear back from him because he may have just wanted me to give him the answer. But that's how you get better, by studying and trying to figure it out on your own. And if you're completely stumped, then you can ask me, or you can go in the forum and ask somebody. But you should try to figure all this stuff out on your own. That's the only way you're ever going to get better at this. And I just can't drive that into people. People think that you can just read a manual and study the You can understand this strategy and be pretty good at understanding the strategy, but it doesn't mean you're going to be successful trading live, because you don't have the experience yet of understanding price movements, and you're going to get fooled a lot. And that's where the experience comes in. Nothing substitutes for experience. Yes, some people can learn this in a few months, but they're still not profitable. And the reason is because they don't have the experience. And the way to get the most experience the quickest is to trade as much as you can every day on that sim trader. But it has to be live data. I mean, if all you can do is do playback, well, then do playback. But you need to be trading live data, because if you can have success trading live data on the simulator, it's no different than trading live data with real money. It's the exact same data, and you're trading it in real time. So that should be your goal. But anyway, let's move on from that. Let's get to the chart lesson. You can see we started out in this range, and then suddenly we sold off. Once we started going lower here below these lows, your first thought process should be, we're filling this gap. We're trying to fill this gap. If it keeps going, then stay with the trend. But you can see we got a break there, move to a new low, and then we just kind of work sideways into the close. So we had a range, a sell-off with a strong trend down, a break, a new low, and then just kind of chop sideways into the close. Perfect price action, just kind of how we teach it. And you got to remember, when you're in a range, you're trading range rules. When you're in a trend, you're trading trend rules. They're slightly different. So keep that in mind. People forget that. And that kind of was what I hinted around to this other trader, is his trade was in a range and mine was in a trend. And they're different. You treat them differently. So anyway, there was a couple of news items at 7:30 this morning, so there wasn't much to trade here until after 7:30. In fact, there's nothing to trade. And then we're just in this range. I only marked one possibility here, and the only reason I made this one green is because the bar is just too big. It's like 22 ticks. And it still doesn't mean you don't take it. You might let it break lower and drop a limit order back in and see if you can get a little better entry, or you might just take it anyway if you trust the trade. But 22 ticks that's a lot for most people to risk. And the thing is, because that's all solid green and this opened above and turned down, you could go short one tick below that bar, and then that really cuts out probably, I don't know, let's just see. The low of that one's 22.75, and so that cuts out a whole point right there. So you cut out a point, maybe 5 or 6 ticks right there. So that's a way to get in at a little better entry. And you can only do that on certain trades, and because that's a full green bar, it's probably a trap when it breaks and when it becomes an engulfing bar. If you got a bar that has a lot of stem and a small body, then it may just mean it's going to be congestion. So skip those. Don't try to trade those. And but anyway, you got a possible short there. I didn't see anything else I liked. This was a possibility long, but notice it never triggered until this bar, and it's not good enough. So you just kind of didn't get a chance at that one. Then of course you get a little trend down, a break, new low, and you get a first entry, second entry short, and you got this is basically a double top, so a first entry, second entry long. Now you had to wait till this bar closes, and you're just playing a bounce off the low of the range. It's a second entry long and a failed second entry short, and it's a bounce off the lows. I like going long right there, and you can see it's a quick, easy move up. And it's probably, if you catch that and you catch a runner on that, it's probably the only trade you need today. And by 9 o'clock, 9:15, you're done, close up, you go home. Just what I was talking about earlier. You catch those good trades, and it's all you need. Then we went into another range. We're coming off the highs here. This would be a failed break lower, but I think you need to wait on a higher low or something there. You do get a higher low right here, and I didn't mark this one, but you know, in real time, I didn't like it because we made this double top, and then we made a lower low. But looking back at it after the fact, I think you could have taken that trade. I think I was just being too conservative. So I think you could go long there, and it would have worked. And of course, you do make a breakout here, so I'd wait on a lower high on that. And you get that right here, decent bar, go short right there. There's another quick, easy move down. Nothing else here. We get a failed breakout. The only reason you do get a close outside here and a new low, and it bounces off that 830 open, so that's a place where you might expect it to bounce. But that's not a convincing enough close for me, so I was a little weary of this. To me, I think you should wait for a higher low or a double bottom or something, and you just never get it. It just takes off. And now it is, I think you can count that as a double high, a double top. So first entry, second entry, it's clearly two legs down. So if you took that, I think it's a little risky, but it's one you might argue for. I'd wait on something better than that personally. And if you do, if you wait just a few minutes later, you get this breakout that fails. And notice you get a close outside new high. Then you get a lower high here, which you might have even traded that, but that one, and there's some sideways bars here, but they're not the small bars with the, or the bars with lots of big stems and small bodies. Now you have a couple over here, but that's trending up, and this is trending down, so I don't think that's been there's space in there. So I don't really think that's congestion. So you could have traded that. I didn't like it because it was right into the support, or it was resistance that's turned into support, and that's the reason I'm going to leave it only market green as well. But that's a possibility. But when it went on through and came back and broke higher and failed, and turned back down again, that's 3 times to try to go higher. And it actually breaks higher and turns down, and that's a solid green. Let me zoom in here a little more. You could trade that on the engulfing bar again. Or if you wait for that to close, I think it's 19 ticks or something. Yep. So you probably really want to try to get a better entry. So if you enter 1 tick below that one, you get in at 32.75 instead of 30.25. I mean, so you'll get almost a 2-point better entry there than you would if you wait till this closes. And again, if you catch only this one trade, I talk about these failed breakouts. You catch this one down here, you catch this one up here, and it's probably the only trade you need today. And they often are important lows and highs of the day. This was a temporary important low, but this was I think this turns out to be the high of the day. It does. And so you look at how important that entry is. And, if you just get till you get the first bullish bar that breaks higher, you make 13 points there. If you're just trading singles, you might get a 13-point single there. So those breakouts, watch them, learn to trade them. Anyway, you don't have a breakout of this channel yet until here, and so I don't think you can go long or anything. Notice this one working up, you get a close and a move to a new high, and then you're working lower again. This is all too congested in here. I don't see anything I like on any of them. You might say, hey, there's a hidden second entry here, but look at the support across there. It's the middle of the range, and there's some support across there. I wouldn't take that trade. It would have worked, but I just think you're better off to wait. And you get a big move down here, but again, I just don't see anything that I wouldn't risk it, because most breakouts fail. And you see it tries to fail here, and you end up, you get your close outside of this green channel. You get a close outside and you low of this one. So this one's probably done. Let's see if we get a failure here to go higher. You never get a setup, so you can't go long. But you get a break of the green one, a new high, and then you get a lower high. And this is a double bottom, so this would be a second entry short. Technically, your second entry is right here, and this is a lower high. You could count it both ways, because this is a double bottom. You could count that as a second entry, or you could just count this as a second entry, and that is a lower high. Normally, I'm not too crazy about a second entry that's not at least at some kind of key entry point. It is at the EMA, which is a minor key entry point. I would have liked to seen this back at the trend line, but it is what it is, and I still like that one, especially because this is fully bullish almost. It broke higher. You could trade that on the engulfing bar, or if you want to be a little smarter, maybe wait for the lower high and see if you get it. And again, this thing takes off. It turns out to be a big move down. We finally bounce, get a trend up, and here we keep trying to go higher and can't. But you would expect prices to try to make a retest of this high and to also come back to the trend line. So you got to be real careful going short. I see one possible short there, and it's just a first entry. So actually, it's not even a first entry. It's a first entry. Actually, it is, because you made a new low. It's lower than that one. So that's a first entry. And I just don't think you want to take that, because we hadn't made a new high. We hadn't made a new low here on this one coming down, but we hadn't made a new high on this one going up. So it could go either way, and that looks very congested. So this is one where it's kind of hard to know which way it's going, because it should do both. And it tries and tries to make a new low here and can't, so it heads on up and makes a new high. You actually get another leg up. I don't know how close they are to being measured, but they look really close. And you can see it's a perfect 2 legs up. And then it turns down again. Unfortunately, I don't see any way to enter this one. And then it bounces, and we just kind of get right back in. We get back in this range here. And by the time you get here, you've at least had a you actually had a triple test here, but it didn't break lower, and so it comes back and gives you a lower high at a decent signal bar, goes short there, and then you get the move lower and a little double bottom, so that's a higher low, and it closes back inside. I like going long there. And this one's really tempting to go short, but you just can't go short into that support, because you see it held there momentarily, and it could have bounced again. It ends up going lower, but you just don't know that. There's no break of this and new low yet, but we did try to go lower 3 times, and so I think you can just try to ride that back to the end. We're probably going to go back to the EMA, even if we're going to make a new low. And you actually get 2 legs up, and it's tempting to go short there. I didn't mark it because everything's still in this green channel, and there's no break of it yet. You can see it would have worked. I mean, it's and it is a retest of the breakout area, so you would expect prices to do that even if they're going to go lower. So there's some reasons to say, hey, we may go lower there, but because there's no break of that green channel, you see we get the break though in the new high, and then you get a pretty good move down. So I like this one better. But again, I'm still not crazy about it because it looks a little congested. We are above the EMA, but you know, we're kind of working sideways here in a range. So that's, I mean, being above or below the EMA is not as important then. So I marked it green. I'd like to see it test that a couple of times first and then go lower. But it runs back down and it just bounces, and you get a triple test here way away from the EMA with a perfect, or a nice reversal signal bar anyway. Again, there's no break here, but because this is a range, I think you're okay to go long there. And I like that one because you clearly got at least a triple test there. And that's a good bit away from the EMA. And that takes you into 230. So there it is. Again, we started out in early range, had a failed breakout that led to a big sell-off, and then we just kind of had mixed chop trading into the close, and we rallied a little into the close. Closed a little bit. We did close higher today. So anyway, you know, it's not the best trading day, but it's certainly not the worst. But remember what I said earlier. You trade ranges different than you trade trends. And people seem to lose sight of that sometimes. And so keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.